So, namaste everybody, a very good afternoon to all. The subject which was communicated to you is wanted GenNext politicians, GenNext political leaders, young political leaders with vision and caliber. I'm aware that you will not be able to find any such advertisement because politicians are not recruited in this way. But let me tell you, it's an insider's assessment in a way because I am in active politics for the last maybe 3 to 4 decades. And there is, truly speaking, a great dearth of young, talented politicians. We are not getting them. And practically in all political parties, and not just in political parties in India, but practically all over the democratic countries, I believe this is a major challenge that the democratic politics has not been able to attract young talents. Now, why? Why youngsters are not joining political parties? This is an important question which we have to address. But before that, let me also convince you that why youngsters need to join politics. There are 3 specific reasons. Firstly, you are the principal stakeholders in the future of democracy. If you don't repair the democracy that we have today, generations after you are going to blame you like what they must be blaming us, the current generation. So you are the stakeholders, your future, your prospects, all your plans depend upon how democracy functions in a given country, in this case in India. Number 1. Number 2, with young blood coming in politics, certainly there are greater chances of we getting new ideas, new concepts, some innovative solutions to vexed issues, and therefore this newness, new blood, new ideas, new concepts, new imagination, new creativity, it's something which is very required. Otherwise, the politics will become, as it has become in a way, very routine and mundane and at times even boring, let me tell you. Third important thing is that your joining politics will add some value. Why I am saying so? Because talented, well-meaning, young political leaders, young aspiring politicians, let me put it that way, if they don't join, there is not going to be any vacuum. People are going to join politics. Generations after generations, people have joined politics. But if good, well-meaning people remain away like what they are doing right now, then naturally politics becomes the last refuge of the scoundrels, as what they say. And therefore, somebody is going to come if we have to prevent such bad, unethical elements from joining politics. I sincerely urge that well-meaning, painstakingly working for the society youngsters need to join politics, need to have political party as a destination before their eyes. Having said that, let me also tell you why young people are not being attracted by the political parties. I'm a student of political science besides being a practicing politician, if I may put it that way. There are at least 4 principal reasons, according to me, why young politicians are in short supply. Firstly, there is a whole lot of compromises that people require to do. You have a particular position when you join politics. You are not expected to articulately state that position. Many times you have to compromise with your own ideas, with your own views, at times, very sadly though, but your own principles as well. And such compromises, the GenNext, of which you are the members, are not generally acceptable to the generation next, and this is also very understandable. So compromises. The second important factor is all kinds of compulsions that politics in a way imposes upon you, like for example casteism, because in a democratic polity it is all about seeking votes of different communities, and as it happens, people try to exploit their social background, and therefore casteism and things related to your social background definitely come into the play. And the youngsters, generally speaking, and today I am aware that people do not even mention their last name because they don't want to be judged by others, and very rightly so, by their last name. And therefore casteism and other compulsions that come with competitive politics, exploiting your social background and things like that, are also not acceptable to the young generation, which is also understandable. But that is why many of you perhaps shy away from politics. The third important thing why people, generally speaking, remain away from politics is the element of uncertainty. Because politics, let me tell you, through my own experience, politics is very demanding. It sucks you. It claims your time, your energy, your resources, everything. And politics is very unpredictable, very uncertain. So in a way, you enter into a risk zone, and at a particular point of time, I can appreciate that youngsters do not want to take entry into that risk zone, and that is also one of the reasons why, generally speaking, the generation next, as what we call, shies away from party politics or the electoral politics. Now, having said that, I must also tell you that there are solutions. Not that we have to give up and accept whatever is there in politics right now and just continue becoming a spectator instead of a participant. What are the solutions? First and foremost is our political party system requires a thorough overhaul. We accepted the Westminster model, and post-constitution promulgation in 1951, we had the first election. And today, if we see the way our political parties are conducting their business, much is left which we normally would desire from the political party. For example, to give you some statistics, there are as many as 2,700 plus political parties which are registered. Few of them are recognized political parties. And of the recognized political parties, even if we consider or keep the discussion confined to them, of the 64 recognized political parties, take it from me, at least 55 are dynasty-based political parties. So the situation is such that in that particular political party, you can easily guess that the grandchild of the supreme leader of that party today is going to be the president of that party maybe 3-4 decades later. In such a situation, naturally, generation next is not very enthused to join such political parties. So this dynastyism is one of the important aspects of at least Indian political scenario. You might have heard about French political scientist Patrick French describing that if this trend continues, then naturally the Lok Sabha, the parliament's lower house in India, could be described as Vansha Sabha, or a house of dynastic representatives, which is something the constitution makers never envisaged. Point number one. Second point is that with dynasty coming in such a big way, most political parties have lost their ideological base. Save for few political parties, and you know which political parties are they, but most other political parties do not have any clear ideology. And when there is no ideology, naturally there is no idealism. And youngsters, generally speaking, get attracted towards some lofty goals, some idealistic things. Now for a young aspiring politician, that particular attraction, I think, is no more. Because there are no lofty ideas, there are no philosophies, there are no ideologies, there is just no talk about idealism. Look how our political parties have witnessed splits within them. Most of the splits were not on the basis of any ideological issue. any policy issue, any issue pertaining to your philosophy or your principles. The splits happened because two siblings could not go together. Or maybe there was a difference of opinion as to who would control the party between the progeny of the senior leader, and therefore the party got split. So, dynasty, lack of ideology and idealism are the two principal reasons why young generation is keeping itself away from political parties, which is very sad, very tragic, and it is going to be detrimental for the quality of democracy as well. Because there are no spirited activists today in major political parties which are governed by dynasties. Leave aside the ideology-driven political parties, but in other parties these things are not there. And therefore, the institutionalization of political parties is also an agenda which continues to be unfinished. Today, it's very easy to go and register a political party than registering a voluntary organization. You can just walk out of the office of the Election Commission and go to the printer and print your letterheads and visiting cards and exploit that status of becoming a president of a political party, which could be maybe 2865th political party in our country, I don't know. So it is that easy, very sad. And therefore, in a situation like this, you don't get quality material. Okay, fine. But are the political parties themselves trying to cultivate quality cadre for themselves? Even that also, I believe, except for few political parties, and you know which are they, most political parties are not paying any attention to at all. And you know what is the situation then? The situation is very tragic. Because getting elected is one thing and being able to govern is a totally different ball game. Today what has happened? People get elected, but when they are offered some positions, maybe in a Gram Panchayat, maybe in a municipal council, maybe in Vidhan Sabha and the state government, or at the national level, we find that their ability to govern is not adequate. So what we require, in fact, is powerful human resource development mechanism in each and every political party. Unfortunately, on that count also, there are many things which are yet required to be done because we don't have a law that governs political parties. There is no comprehensive law. Had that law been then perhaps we could have compelled political parties to have their cadre building mechanism with some human resource development, with some training. And when it comes to training, let me share with you a very subtle commentary on the quality of politicians that we have and the perception of the people to look at the politicians. This is a very humorous, hilarious poem by a very well-known Hindi poet, Shail Chaturvedi. And since the poem is in Hindi, I don't think I require to translate it. It's a very wonderful poem. The poem goes like this, that नए नए मंत्री बने एक सज्जन, जब पहली बार सरकारी कार में बैठे, तब महोदय ने ड्राइवर से कहा कि आज कार मैं चलाऊंगा। ड्राइवर बेचारा डर का मारा विनम्रता से बोला, तो हुजूर मैं उतर जाऊंगा। भला क्यों? मंत्री जी ने पूछा। ड्राइवर ने कहा, क्योंकि महोदय ये कार है, सरकार नहीं जो भगवान भरोसे चल सकती है। So, to drive a car, you require training, you require license, you require a qualification. But to run a government, very sadly, you don't require any qualification. I understand that in a democracy that we have, and not just we have, but all over the world, democracy has evolved in a process where every single adult has a franchise. He has a right to vote, and therefore he has a right to contest the election as well. And therefore you cannot keep those qualifications, I understand. But at least once after a person gets elected, there has to be some mechanism to build his or her capacities. Otherwise, what would happen is people will not get what they in fact expect when they elect their representatives to run a government. Now, point is, what can we do? Of course, my appeal to all our GenNext members is to join politics. That is there, and it's very loud and clear, which is why the title of this particular session is also Wanted Young Aspiring Political Leaders with Vision and Calibre. Both the things are required. But at the same time, let me also tell you that for this kind of a transformation, what is also required is some kind of cultivation of public mind. Today, what has happened? People have stereotyped the idea of a politician. They want their political leader to be behaving in a particular way. Let me tell you an experience of a friend of mine. He got elected to a legislative assembly here in Maharashtra, and he believed in the ideals of simplicity, frugality, and therefore he used to travel in a state transport bus, something which is unheard of today, for example. So when he used to go to the villages using the state transport bus, people initially welcomed him. He was eulogized. But later on, after 3 months, many of his political party told him that, boss, if you have to visit our village, come in a white ambassador. This is 20 years before. That time ambassadors were pretty much in use. And come over here, stop by a police station, get down from your car, have some 3-4 security persons around you, go to the police station, ensure that at least one who has been imprisoned by the police is taken away and 2 others are taken in. Then only you can establish yourself as a successful politician or a member of the Legislative Assembly or Legislative Council. That is the sorry state of affairs. People stereotype politicians and expect him or her to behave in a particular way. They don't feel shy of asking a big donation from a politician, saying that, oh, you are a politician, so you must be having huge loads of money at your disposal. So please give us a couple of lakhs of rupees and things like that. Unless and until this mindset is transformed, I believe the generation next will not be able to create a space for itself. And therefore, if you really want to join politics, I would suggest that you must, first of all, very resolutely make an attempt towards that. But at the same time, create a climate, a proper social climate, where the generation next liberates itself from every kind of stereotyping of politics and politicians as well. I know this is easier said than done. But then, as it happens, and again, before I conclude, let me share with you a story, because that story has that element of the message that it is for us to shape our destiny. It's a story of a farmer who had a buffalo, and the buffalo used to give milk, so he was very happy about it. But one fine morning, he saw that the buffalo has developed a particular ailment and there is a hump on her back. So he went to a veterinary doctor. The vet doctor, he was also puzzled, clueless as to what kind of disease is this. But then he found out, after referring to some books, that there is a particular medicine. He said the medicine is there, but the way you administer this medicine is very peculiar. And therefore, if you are able to adopt that, then only this medicine will work. The farmer says, fine, because I have to ensure that my buffalo remains in good health. So tell me. He says, these are some tablets of a particular medicine. These tablets will have to go to the stomach of the buffalo directly. If she swallows from her mouth, then it may not have any impact. The farmer says that perhaps you are joking, you are ridiculing me, because how is this possible? The doctor says, no, it is possible. I'll tell you how it can be done. And the doctor advises that go home, take a bass, a bamboo, which is hollow from within, put the medicinal tablets right at the center of that bamboo, and put one end of that particular bass in your mouth and the other one in the mouth of the buffalo, and just blow in such a powerful manner that the tablets directly will go into the stomach of the buffalo and she will be freed from the ailment. She will get rid of the disease. The farmer was happy. He goes back. After 8 days, the farmer again visits the veterinary doctor. This time, the doctor says that perhaps he has come back to pay my fees. But when the farmer comes closer to the residence of this veterinary doctor, the doctor realizes that the farmer himself has developed that hump on his back. So naturally, he was puzzled. He asked what happened. He said, "Sir, I did exactly as per your advice. Took the hollow bars, put the medicine in it, but before I could blow it so powerfully, the buffalo did the same thing, and instead of she getting rid of the ailment, this particular disease has got me. And therefore, the question is, kisme kitna hai dam? Are we going to compromise because of the situation around, because of the circumstances in which find ourselves? Or are we going to gather strength and say that we will change the situation, we will transform the circumstances and create a space for young, talented, aspiring, well-meaning, value-conscious politicians of the generation next? Thank you very much.